Hello, it's me. The song just came to mind that was like that. I know what it is. It's like trying to play in my head. Anyway, people, it's another day. Another day closer. Ah! I've already taken the stress off. You know, my friend was saying he didn't want me to stress. And I'm going, I don't understand what you mean. You know, in my head, I'm thinking that. I don't quite understand. But I do now, because making quilts is a trip. And it does take a lot of work. And until you do it, you just don't know that. And I thought, oh, no problem. I'll just get these quilts all done. Anyway, I've learned a lot, but I did get carried away, doing what I was doing, meaning learning and making a big old quilt. And really, it's not as big as one I saw today. My math sucks. That was not one of my best subjects. I mean, I did good at the time, but we have our calculators. And I don't even do a whole lot of that. It's funny. I was thinking about that, My daughter has no clue that her mother is worth immense. I mean, if I was to go out in the market, maybe go over into New York City or, I don't know, New Jersey pays good for, I was looking for bud tenders. But, if you look back into my history, oh my God, I have done so many things. And a lot of things I did in the beginning, I was trying to stay home with my daughter, going way back when. But I was able to go to secretarial science school. It was a trade school, 6-month course, which I did in 4 months and got a 3.9. And I would have had a 4.0 had a rule not been in effect. There's always should be an exception to the rule, because I got 100%. But I missed a day of a class because of a funeral. My sister's baby died. But the whole thing is, that's a little ridiculous. I want my 4.0. Anyway, I forget all where I was because I just get off on side trails, which I like to do. I do. I like to follow my brain, go back in there and find things. But okay, that's what I was talking about. I should put a resume together just for her, so she knows. And she'll never know unless she goes and does it. But let's just go to the one thing. And it's not really, it's a big thing. I worked for my father. He and his brother Dale and my mother were the owners, okay? And anyway, my dad had to leave because they just couldn't make it on the money they were making off of the propane. And he could make so much more back in California just working for somebody else. So he did end up leaving for 2 years so that they could make ends meet. In order for him to do that, you can't leave your propane company. You have to have a license. You have to have a major license to own a propane company and run it. The manager has to have that license too. So anyway, my dad set about teaching me and Rusty, the guy I worked with, he was the delivery driver, Dad taught us, and Mother. I don't remember her taking that test, and I don't know how she could have passed it. But I got a 97. I owned a license in in Texas, with the Railroad Commission. I owned a license to run a propane company. Okay, you have to have the same license as a master plumber. Plus, you have to have all the propane stuff to go with it. Plus, Mary Lou did everything but drive the truck that delivered propane. I filled people up when they came in, but I ran that company. Anyway, my nose is getting wet. I'm just trying to say, hold on a second. I need a piece of paper and I need to start doing an outline because it's so true. And the same thing would be a resume for me to go out and get a job, which I ought to do. I still have my brain. Can't stand on my legs continually. I have to be able to get up and down and up and down. Not be just sitting and not just be standing. I can't do that. But my brain is groovy grapes. Sometimes I get a little distracted. But so let's go back to that propane company. When I started working for my Papa Bear, I'd already gone through that secretarial course. And it was Secretary of Science, but it was gauged at being an executive assistant, a manager, anything and everything. You got the guy that has the name and he might own it, but it's the people behind him that do everything. He would write letters that had to go to the Railroad Commissioner here, there, everywhere, and his handwriting was atrocious. I had the hardest time reading his words. But see, then it's my job, which I'm so grateful for that secretarial course, I'm telling you. It has taught me how to communicate, even if some people might not think I can, because I don't practice my proper English all the time. But I do notice, I know when things are wrong. But anyway, the point is I could take my dad's letter, and I worked at other places where I had to do the same thing. Take rough draft copy and make perfect composition. Perfect, meaning grammar, punctuation, sentence structure. Getting your point across in the right manner and all the details. I was good. I would assume that I'd still be good, but it's been years. But I think once you have things, it's there. You just have to wake it up. You know what I mean? My handwriting is atrocious, but we use computers. Back then, I did everything by hand. I didn't have a computer. I didn't have something to do my math for me. So let's go. I started working for him just part-time and learning about propane and learning about this and that. But the point is I ended up doing everything. And a person doesn't know what everything is, do they? You have the reception. You have the person on the phone. You have the sales. You have the collections. You have the books. You have the everything. God. And then dealing with the Railroad Commission. Oh, my God. Audits. They could be intimidating. Let me tell you. I had to keep track of inventory. Propane inventory. Propane goes up and down because of temperatures and stuff, okay? So when it's cold, it condenses, and it would appear that you don't have what you got. And when it's warm, it expands. So, and then you got these loads of propane coming in, loads going out. Anyway, I did the books. I did the everything, the everything. What did Rusty do? Rusty delivered propane. Mary Lou did everything else, okay? But no one knows what that is. My dad would appreciate it, but I don't know. Even them, they don't. Just do it. Oh, I was just remembering. Okay, so anyway, I'd have to make an outline of what my daily everything was and monthly was, because you've got your things going on during the month. So you got deliveries going on, you got the books that go with that, you got the paychecks. I did accounts receivable, accounts payable. I wrote over $30,000 worth of checks every month. And I zeroed out the books before they went to the accountant. So I did all the work before the accountant got it. But then the thing is, these days, I imagine if you're using a computer and you put the data in, that computer's keeping track for you. But I didn't have that opportunity. Anyway, I learned a lot. And I'm grateful, so grateful for that course that I took. You people out there thinking about going to college, people are going to think I'm crazy, but I don't believe in college. I don't believe in paying all that frickin' bloody money to send your kids off to Partyville. And when it's all said and done, even if they get their degree, it's not so easy to find a job. You'll find out there that you might have all the learning and no experience. So then they don't hire you because you don't have experience. But then you might have all that experience and no college to go with it. But that's so stupid. A lot of courses you do not even need that they make you take to get those degrees, okay? A lot of things are a racket, and I kind of think college is. But trade schools, that secretarial course that I took was a trade school. So you go for a specific thing, and it's condensed, and you get what you need. I want to pat myself on the back. I don't know if I can tell the story right, and there's so much that goes with it. Here I am. I'm a single mom, and one that really doesn't want to leave her child. I really didn't. And they make you do that. Or they used to. I don't know what they do these days. It's almost better if you let the mama stay home with the babies so they take care of them. It's a vicious circle. They made me go to work. They made me take that course to try and improve myself to get out in the workforce, okay? Which is, in some ways, is really great, and I'm glad. Don't mean to be complaining about that. But the part about making you put your child in daycare and making you go out and find a job, beat the streets. Who knows what's going on with your kid? But what's all said and done, I think back then they might have been paying for daycare and paying for this and that and the other thing if you applied for it, if you knew about it. That's the thing. There's probably so many things going on out there that we could reap benefits from, but we don't know what they are. Someone needs to tell us. And maybe somebody tries to tell you and you think they're a scam artist. Or you're worried about it because there are so many scammers out there. I take chances every once in a while because they sure make things sound good. I've got this problem with my teeth. Of course, you guys know that because you see my face all the time. My teeth, I just don't think they're correct. And they stick out there like I have buck teeth. But I remember when the guy did it. I remember when he was taking that impression. Here he is. He's got his hands in my mouth, and he's got this thing he's going to shove up here to get that impression, right? And he's got his freaking head looking over there, talking to other people while he's got his hands in my mouth. And you know what he did? He just went straight up, okay? Well, he needed to go back, too. And I thought, well, they'll just fix it, you know? But when I put my teeth in my mouth, I swear to God, it makes me look like I have buck teeth. They're sticking way out. They're further than my gums. They're just not correct. And so I did something today that probably I should not oughta. But I'm hoping and praying that it's not wrong. I'm hoping for a miracle because my teeth are totally uncomfortable. So they don't work right. They make me, I'm constantly licking around the teeth if I have them on, and and the bottom ones don't fit quite right, and it hurts like hell. So why am I going to wear these things? Notice I haven't. Anyway, I keep seeing these ads on Facebook. And so I went ahead and bit the bullet and did it. And I hope and pray that it's not baloney. You know, because they show all this stuff that's good. I mean, people saying it's good. So is that real? I hope it is. And I know my hair's weird. Well, at least I have some, right? I'm grateful for what I have. And I thank God for that. Anyway, so today I bit the bullet, like I said, and I ordered some of those teeth. I know you would think totally baloney, bogus. But I'm hoping because they're not supposed to hurt. They're supposed to conform to your mouth. Something about putting them in hot water a few minutes before you put them in your mouth, and then you put them in your mouth and push them up and they fit your mouth. I haven't had teeth that I could eat with in many, many, many years. So my body's probably taken a little bit of a toll on that. You know, if you can't eat, then you can't get your nutrition like you should. I learned a lot from my naturopath. Anyway, things have changed as far as my goals for Christmas. I'm going to flit around. You know I do that. So I need to sit up more. I'm hunching over. I had a small smoothie today. It's the first time I've done that in forever and a day, and it's not what I used to do. So this just has blueberries in it, and it has a scoop of Slim Fast in it. And then I used almond milk because that's the only milk in the house, and it was cold. So almond milk, ice. Oh, and I put in, got hair in my mouth, flaxseed, okay? Ground up flaxseed. Buy some. Put it in your food. Put it in your smoothie. Why? I'm not quite sure. No. I believe it's a good protein source, but it also is a good thing for making things move, too. So did I say blueberries? Blueberries, flaxseed, Slim Fast ice, and almond milk. But at least it's something, right? I used to be pretty good at having a smoothie every day. But I have forgotten about that. And haven't been doing that. So yesterday, was it yesterday? That was yesterday, and yesterday's gone. So, you know, there's so many yesterdays. I spent the day, I don't think it was yesterday. It could have been the day before. But like I said, I lose track of time. I spent one day cutting and cutting and cutting strips, 6.5-inch strips. So I'm going to make 6.5-inch squares. And I've decided, no, I'm not going to be getting these quilts done by Christmas. But I did learn a lot, and I've got Jessica's 3/4 of the way done, or 2/3 of the way done, because I'm not counting the binding. In other words, I need to do 3 more rows, and her quilt will be at the length and width that it needs. I mean, it's already at the width. And then I'm going to need to do a binding. I'm pretty sure. I had a thought come to mind. It wasn't very nice, was it? I don't know. Just depends, you know. There's so many different ways to do things. It depends on how professional you need to be. But like the lady that did the quilt the other day, it was Quilt As You Go. This is the way I took Jessica's quilt from that, but I had smaller squares and they just didn't turn out as good. Plus I didn't take the time. She had 10-inch squares, okay? I had 6-inch squares. So that's 4 inches difference. But she had it all set up where she was marking. She used a pen and she marked the lines with the ruler that she needed to sew on. Okay, well, what I've done, because I guess it has been a while, but you know, I've just been sewing, not drawing lines. And yes, it's not perfect. And I showed my quilt the other day at that bar. It's a club. But anyway, I was happy with the comments. Because I was saying it's not perfect. And they said, what do you mean? They were really praising me on the work and stuff. And that was nice. It does look really good. So even though it's not perfect, it's not going to come apart. And it will be warm for years to come. I don't know where I was, but I figure I'll get on here and talk to you guys, and I'm going to attack these strips and make my squares. But I have just decided, I probably already said that too, my friend wanted me to not stress. And I just didn't quite understand at the time, but he was right. Trying to get all that done. Oh my God, I'm going to create such a mess anyway. I just bought a storage thing. It's not very big, but boy, it's heavy. It just came today. Just got here. So I'm not going to be bringing it up the stairs. I might have to open the box up down there and bring parts up. I don't know. It must have been Black Friday deals. This cabinet was... It's not... I know it's not wood. It's got a metal frame, but it's just the back. I mean, in other words, tubing framed out, and then drawers go in, and the drawers are probably fabric. I don't know. All I know, it was like $70 or $80 on sale. I got it for $42, I think, and that was probably with the taxes. So I think it was $39 something. Anyway, I got such a mess going on in the sewing room in there, and it wasn't a sewing room when I first started. It was my office. So I could have a place away from here, I guess, my bedroom. But I figured maybe I better get something to put my stuff in. So I started going through things, you know, because in the beginning I put an ad out that I needed fabric for quilting. And a lady answered my ad, and we got together, and I got 3 boxes of scraps. But I went through them. They're not necessarily what I want. I don't know how to sew on t-shirts. I'll have to learn, I guess. But there was just a lot of different things, scraps left over from what she had used. And I decided pretty quick that I wanted to go buy material. So I need to find I need to purge. I have to go through everything. But I have thrown away 2 bags of things from that. And the sewing machine jammed up on me. I don't know, maybe it needs to be taken apart in there, and maybe, I don't know. I just can't wait. You know, I was raring to go, and then I couldn't get a sewing machine to work. So that took some time. Plus, it hurt my wrist because I was really turning that thing, and it wouldn't turn. Okay, I was trying to turn that thing, meaning the arm that makes the needle go up and down. So it hurt me pretty bad. But the point is, I didn't have a sewing machine. Thank God I had my sewing machine from Washington. It was out in my car. But I'd already gone through 2 sewing machines. The first one jammed up on me. I mean, it sewed for a little while, but then it jammed up on me. Would not budge. And then, so I started to use Jesse's machine, and it goes up and down so smooth and nice. But it, what was it doing? It was breaking my thread all the time, which probably could have to do with the tension. And I hate messing with tension. And what else? Seemed like there was a couple of things, but the point was it was breaking my thread all the time, and I can't be threading needles all the time. And nothing like getting in the middle of something, and there goes your thread. Or even it goes before you can get to sew. But anyway, my sewing machine that I got from a lady in Kennewick, Washington, is working really good so far. Knock on wood and pray that it keeps going. But it is. It'll go a little too fast. I need to really take time and learn my machine. It's, I think it's called a runway. It's a brother. But that means fashion. So, I mean, it's got 99 different stitches, which I don't know anything about. Basically, just like when you get a phone, or when I did, you learn how to answer it, right? So on my sewing machine, I know how to do the basics. I know how to make it work. And I know what certain things do. But I could definitely take time and learn more. So anyway, I just want to get on here and say hi. I haven't been the best at doing that. And there's definitely a lot of stress. I haven't even gotten part of trying to get the colors, and then I've just been learning to quilt. And so then it's not just that, but you want to put something together that looks good together. In other words, at first I asked for 2 colors, because I had seen a lady did a quilt with just 2 colors. But I decided I didn't want to do that. And then there was the reason I even thought about quilts was a jelly roll quilt, because they made it look so easy. You just get a jelly roll, and it's already got all these different fabrics with prints and that go together. I mean, that look good together. And then you sew the strips together, and then you cut those strips. And making it simplified. A jelly roll, for those of you who do not know, because I did not know, it's 2.5 inches, usually. I saw one that was 2.6, that's just over. But anyway, 2.5 inches wide. So all the strips are 2.5 inches wide. And they're already pre-cut. Of course, that makes sense. But anyway, the point is, and they have put them in a roll, a swirl, and tied it together, and that's why it's called a jelly roll. I don't really know about the jelly part. But the point is, I saw a video that produced a really pleasing quilt. And it was done with a jelly roll. And it might have just been the size of a throw. I need to go back and look at that, because that's what I really want to do, is throws for these kids. And I thought, oh, she made it look so simple. Then I deviated. I do that. But really, I don't know her name I have a subscription to her. She is in my history. She's a jovial type person, and she does a lot of different things. But she's got a rag quilt. I just don't know if the kids would like that or not. But one person said her rag quilt, she's got a lot of quilts, and everybody that comes and sits and cozies up to watch TV, she said they all go for the rag quilt. You wouldn't think that they would, but they do. So that rag quilt's easy to do. I mean, that would be, in fact, I saw the easiest. You get flannel, okay, and get 2 pieces of material. You don't need any okay, it depends on who you are. I started to say you don't need any batting, but I was getting some confused. Okay, there was this woman, same woman. She did the front. I mean, they're all going to be the same size, okay? And there's 3 pieces. So it's not just 2 pieces of material, but this is warmer for the winter. And the front is cotton, and the middle and the back is flannel instead of using batting. So then you have all these the same size, and when you sew the seam, one time it was an inch, but I'm thinking it was probably me that said 3/4 would be better. It depends on how big you want your rags, because what happens is you take that, you probably already know, but you take these 3 pieces of material, and that's your square. And then you have all these different squares put together, figuring out what you want to lay next to each other. And then, so she used flannel, and here's the deal. That flannel, even the part that's going to be the batting, is going to have color showing on the front. So you could have the back be one color and the middle be a different color in the front. And so then what's going to happen is you're going to end up, you'll bring the backs together, make a seam that connects them, and then you're going to leave that all ragged. Now what they do is they go around, after they've got it all done and put together, they go around and click, 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 click. But it seems to me it'd get ragged on its own. And I don't know the exact measurement of what it should be, because I think it was less than an inch, and then I saw one where they did do an inch. So, I mean, it's been a little while. And what I should do is what's simple, instead of making things so freaking complicated. But I am learning. And I am thinking that I'm going to advertise and see if there's a market. The problem is, it depends on what you go for. If you go for homemade, artist made, or do you go for manufactured? And if you're just going for functionality and the manufacturer does it, hey, they got us beat. Manufacturing has got us beat. But my stuff is unique. And then the thing is, once I am out there, if somebody wants a quilt and they want to get the material, that makes it even better, because they can choose the material themselves and bring that. There's a lot of different things could happen, but the person sewing is going to want to make sure those squares are cut right. When you start putting squares together, you want them to fit right. Otherwise, you're going to have a mess. And I gave myself a mess in the beginning. I didn't realize how important that was. So, you have to square things up. Like, I don't want to go in the other room to show you. In the beginning, if you guys have been watching, you know that when I very first started, like the jelly rolls I was talking about, I ended up cutting my own strips. and just having solid colors. And then I took and I made some coasters. I took my grandson's 2 colors, which was blue and it's like a cocoa brown to me. It's henna is the name. And the blue is cobalt. It's a lighter blue than I expected. I thought it was going to be like a royal blue. But anyway, I sewed the strips together, pressed them, and then cut them, and then sewed those together. Meaning, you got a brown and a blue strip, okay? And then I took and I cut off. Mine were 3.5 inches. If you're doing a jelly roll, it'd be 2.5 inches. But then the strips, okay, you got brown and then blue. So the 3.5 inch strip that you cut, you turn it over. So then you've got blue, brown, or something like that. It gives you a diamond effect. And I don't have one in here to show you. And I'm not good at my words. And I've got a weird scarf here. I had a different scarf on, and I thought, you know what, I want my pink one. So I tore the house apart trying to find my pink one. They're never where you want them to be. But these things, these bandanas really do help my head. And I'm not doing the best as far as I've got some type of a something. My daughter, a while back, came home sick. And she got really sick. I mean, cockadoodle sick. Where I was telling her she needed to go to the doctor. Then her boyfriend gets the same stuff, of course. And then I get it. And it was, Jessica had just lots of pressure. She said even just touching her face hurt, okay? Well, I've got a headache going on up here. And it's a different kind of headache, but there's probably pressure building up there. 2 days ago, I couldn't talk. And yesterday, I could talk. You know, it wasn't perfect, but I'm talking anyway. And I remember I've got to do something about that. My pills fell down behind that chair. That chair's humongous. And then there's a fridge on the other side. So they're down there where I can't get to them. It does recline. I ought to see if that'll make a difference. I need to find a stick that'll get back there and get them. So I haven't taken my blood pressure medicine for 3 days. So that could cause headaches too. But I got a feeling it's this illness. I've been taking Alka-Seltzer, the cold and cough and stuff like that. I need to go out and buy some more because Jessica got that. And I've been taking it too. So I'm hoping that if you take care of the symptoms, it makes it heal faster, go away faster, I hope. So anyway, y'all slumping over, I got to stop that. I don't know, people. Ouch. I've got so many things I need to do. I hope those teeth that I ordered will work, because that would just be marvelous, wouldn't it? I really hope it does, because I don't want to go to a dentist, and the things that I need to do before the end of the year, well, the end of the year is just right here. And I'm not ready. But I'll try not to confuse it with okay, I'm going to start using scissors. These scissors are spring assisted. However, if I don't put them in just the right spot, they don't cut right. But I've, like I said, I already did. Oh, I need those. Okay. I already got them in the strips. And you know what else I want to do? I just have to make things and put them somewhere. In other words, make different products and see if there's, it's not a need necessarily, it's a want. Does anybody have bean bags anymore? I mean, you know, they call those one things, I don't even know what they call them, cornhole. But I'm talking about just bean bags. You know how people play baseball? They throw a ball. Well, you can throw a bean bag. And there are games, I think, even where they throw bean bags. So I just been thinking about bean bags. And okay, I made the one bean bag for Jesse. And I told you what it was for. Because Chase can just be, he barks and barks and barks. Okay. Oh! Uh-oh. Okay, that's not what I want. This is what I want right here. Da-da-da-da. I guess I could show you guys. I don't think my daughter watches my channel. Most of my family does not watch my channel. Oh, I started doing my daughter's quilt, okay, and I told you I'll call it 2/3, but really, it's probably 3/4 of the way finished. My head hurts. Okay, so I ran out of the gray. That's for the back, and I also put it on the front a little bit. But this is her quilt. And really, look at that. From the floor up, it goes up there. Trip. So anyway, I'll be working on this, and I get to a point where I have run out of my gray. Oh, and you see how the back is. It's quilted all the way. And I've got a row pent to it that's got to be sewn on, but I've got to have the gray backing to go with it in order to do that. But anyway, ouch. I like this, but I think definitely it needs a bigger square. 6-inch square is not good enough. Let's see. I'm doing 6.5-inch squares now, but not to say that's all I needed. Because for this style, I think the lady that did the tutorial, she used 10-inch squares. And she went 5 across and 6 down. So 50 by 60 inches. I need to remember that. That's probably all I need. 50 by 60. So 48 by see, I was doing 6 feet, but that's what I'm thinking about, a twin bed. Thinking about what will go over a twin bed. Not over and down to the floor, just over the top, so that you can, you can have a bedspread and then put that on top of it. And that's if you like quilts. See, Jessie's more looking at functionality. She's trying to figure out, why would anybody want yours versus a throw when you can get throws? Well, there's a difference. Anyway, it's okay. It's just funny sometimes. It's what does one appreciate? Okay. Okie dokie. So instead of using my ruler and doing my rotor and stuff, I'm using these. And I'm putting a square that I've already done down as my guide. So I just go, I lay these down and I cut right where they are. And they lay and they grab. When you lay it down on the material, it grabs, it stays, it doesn't slip around and stuff like that. So anyway, I need to do that better. Anyway, the thing about this quilting that I'm doing is I can do these different steps. Okay, so I'm out of my gray, I can't go on, I can do something else, which is get my 6.5-inch squares. And I'm not sure exactly why I went to 6.5, but there was a reason. Part of it is because, I know why, it's because I already have squares cut for that size from before when I started Tyler's. See, Tyler's turned into that big quilt, but I don't think he liked that. He didn't tell me. I think he kind of thought that was outrageous. However, other people thought it was wonderful. So it's all in, and he hasn't seen it finished. And it's got his colors in it, man. Anyway, the thing about it is, we can just get carried away. And it can be a group project. It doesn't have to fall on just one person's head. And not even like that. It's a great, like the old quilting bees, but it's a great thing to do with your children. In other words, I want to do each one of them a quilt, and I want to do my daughter a quilt, and I just think it would be wonderful if we could do it together. And there's a lot that's not sewing. There's a lot that's measuring and cutting, but the measuring and cutting is important to the sewing. Da 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 dum, do 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 do. Yeah, I know. Songs are just in my head, and every once in a while they pop out. Okay, I guess I could press that. So, I got 5 grandchildren. But I decided to not worry about, well, I messed that up, didn't I? My goodness. Wonder how I did that. Gimme. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, that'll work. Da 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 da. Yes, I know. I skip around and I get lost. I must have got lost. I want to hear some of those old songs. Born on the bayou. What was going on back then? Back when I was in high school. I'm talking about the music, what was going on back then. Plus also the Vietnam War was going on back then. I had an altercation. I'm telling you, people are weird out there. I know, you can say, Mary Lou, you're the one who's weird. So what was the altercation? Okay, it wasn't an altercation. This was just a the difference of opinion, and it wasn't really opinion. Okay, let me cut that off. There was a song, and I was singing it, probably, and I said it was from the Vietnam War. And this other guy said it was from the Korean War. Well, I don't know when the Korean War was, but I know that song. They might have used it for both, but that song came out during the Vietnam War. So it'd be nice to know. And it was about, everybody look what's going round. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 cries, or 1,000 people in the street. They're carrying their signs saying, oh, hooray for our side. Do, stop, baby, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going round. There's a whole lot more to it. And I have a feeling, I'm pretty sure that's the song. But people will fight over stupid shit. Excuse my mouth, I hate that word. People been using that word. And guess what? There you go, you start using it yourself. do, 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 do. It's like something about, there's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. Okay, so that's the song. So, what war was that? And who was singing that? And you can tell when I was a teenager that was the war that was going on, was Vietnam. And every war is bad. There's no good war. What's that song? War. Good God, y'all, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Just for killing our kids. Not just killing them, maiming them. So yeah, you can tell I'm not happy about all that crap. My grandson is over in Poland right now, and he's a medic. So thank God for Kevin. Yeah, I can't get over the place where I are. In other words, just that one little phrase in the song. So I need to get to something else. Anyway, I just decided to take the stress off and try to just enjoy Christmas, you know? So I need to get together with my daughter and go shopping. She knows her kids. I'm going shopping with Madison on Sunday to go get material. I'm going to go to Michael's. Michael's, I guess, I want to say bought out, but I don't know what the deal is. But Michael's took over Joann's. Excuse me. Do 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 do. Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting here resting my bones, wish this loneliness would leave me alone. Do 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 do. Let's see. Okay, I need to cut that. Do 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 do. So anyway, I guess what I can do is just make some posts. If I have something for sale, I'll make a post, put some pictures, put the price. You can always make an offer. Or tell me you're interested. Da, da. My granddaughter Carly, my first granddaughter, she likes green. But we haven't, I mean, that's all she's told me is green. And then she said forest green, so I assume there's lots of shades of green in the forest. But being able to find them for the quilt. So, anyway, the point is, I think I started to tell you, I've got a deal going on with Madison. On Sunday, we're going to go to Michael's and find some material that she will love. I think I'll just go ahead and cut that off. Dum da dum dum da dum. Do 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 do. Man, come and take you away. Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going round. Paranoia strikes me, and into your life it must be. Can you imagine? I can't imagine, you poor men and women. War. Disgusting. Do 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 do. Okay, I'm not doing good there, am I? I didn't leave myself enough to cut. This one, the rotor will work, I guess. So, it being Christmas, and all you people celebrate Jesus' birth. I do too. But he was really born April 6th. Not his birthday right now. Do 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 do. All right, maybe I should just quit worrying about that. Yeah, there's been a few hiccups. No sewing machine to work right. that was quite a deal. And yeah, I'll have to talk to her about that. Talk to Madison too. Because they might just need serviced, that's all they need. But I don't have time to deal with that. I did not have time to deal with that. But that sure did put me back in my production. But learning what I was doing also. And trying to make it where I can quilt as I go and not have to worry about a quilting frame or anyway, I don't know. But I think I did decide, unless more comes of it, I'm just going to put it up for sale. But I need to talk to Tyler and Kevin first. But see, the thing is, I want to do personal quilts, not big ones. And so each kid needs the same thing. And I love that quilt. I would be proud to own that quilt. So, I think that's what I'll do. I'll just put it up for sale. And then if someone pays the price, I'll let it go, right? And I don't know. They asked me how long it took me to make that quilt, but you know what? I really don't know. There's so many different facets to it all. But I did go after it and go after it and go after it. And I'm saving my scraps. I was just trying to unfold it, but I don't really have to. But I like to unfold it and press them before I put them away. See, it ends up being that big. And that can go on one of those scrappy deals where you're using your scraps. You have to have big enough scraps to do it. Now, what happened here? Do, 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 do. So when I do quilts in the future for other people, and I'm not necessarily meaning other people, because I'm going to start making things and putting them up for sale. I think that's the best way. And then if somebody wants to help me, if they want me to make it, and they want to get the materials to where if something's special, they can get what they want. I do suggest, and I could be wrong, but I do suggest cotton. I mean, polyester is easy. I love polyester. Let me, in clothing especially, because it doesn't wrinkle. It doesn't shrink, and it doesn't wrinkle. Unless there's some other kind that I don't know about. Do, do, do. Okay, where's it at? Right there. Do, 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 do. Okay. But the main thing is to enjoy Christmas. Don't stress. So, that's what I'm going to do. I talked earlier about my daughter not knowing all the things I can do. You know, these days I'm way behind as far as what I could do, because you need to know those machines. However, in any job you go to, you still have to be trained. You have to be trained on their stuff. But it's true. It's true. It takes time to learn, and people don't have time to wait for you to learn. perfect job came up the other day. I would have loved to have checked into it. And even at my age, I've always loved houses. Real estate is my deal. So, there was a job the other day for, they weren't asking for a real estate license or anything. It was working with the real estate people. My problem is, I have a lot of problems. I really do. They need to make things simple out there. Quit being so... Don't use those words. Anal. Cut your nose off to spite your face. We need employees. I mean, we actually have jobs, but no employees. I wonder why. So busy worried about your damn drug test that no one wants to come work for you. You know, we might want to come work for you, but it's not in our best interest to do that. Stupidity. Just like those stupid little towns that won't let Walmart in. Perryton, you're so frickin' stupid. You want me to tell you how? You let everybody in that town drive an hour to go to Walmart. They're still taking their business elsewhere. You're all worried about your little shops downtown, which there are not that many. But you're worried about those people, not your public. So all this time, even after all those freaking years, I thought Walmart would be there by now. Walmart tried to get there several times, but they wouldn't let them. They would not let Walmart in because they were so worried about losing revenue downtown. Well, the thing is, let me tell you about downtown. They have items that are so freaking expensive. And then they're not, if you want something, you can't go find it downtown. If you did find it downtown, it's at least $10 more because of shipping, because they have to pay for shipping getting it in there. Walmart would have provided jobs, would have provided sales tax revenue for the community. The people wouldn't have to spend their money on gas and their time to go to Walmart outside of town in a whole frickin' another state. But no, you're too busy worried about the few little people downtown. You, what do you call them, monarchs? I don't know what you would call them, but you think you're the leaders of the community, but you're not thinking about the community. So much more sales tax, jobs, less having to be gone, more money to be spent in the town. Understand? You people, years and years and freaking years, you said no to Walmart. And you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. That's where that fits. So you go ahead and you take care of those few little people downtown that have those businesses that do not provide what the people need. That's why they have to leave to go get it. Or I shop online. I have it delivered to my door. I don't have to drive an hour away, and I don't have to shop and hope that what I want is there. Whole different experience these days. I don't know how you people in downtown Perryton are even in business. And I think half of you guys lost your businesses, didn't you, because of a tornado or something that went through there? But I mean, why? Why do you not think about the community as a whole? And not just those few that you think carry the town. Okay? I know, I gotta quit being mean. I think that girl's name is Chelsea, the one that does the quilts. I'm really, I need to put a comment on hers. She has affected me. It's been really nice to be affected that way. And she'll say all the time, just do it, basically, you know. Just make a quilt. Don't be scared. But anyway, I would do things a little different. But the 6.5 inch square, by the time you take the 1/4 inch all the way around, it'll be a 6 inch square. And I think trying to put different colors all over the place, I just think that's nice. But I know, I've been trying to do the quilt as you go, but I need to, I think what I need to do is just make quilt tops. And not worry about putting the batting on it, not worrying about putting the backing on it. Just make a quilt top. So, which means, you know, I can just take all these squares, put them together, so, press them, and then attach them to quilt batting and a backing. Just not quite sure how to go about doing that. So far, I've been laying things out on my bed. I mean, as far as, but I'm talking about, maybe I could do it downstairs on the table. In other words, when it comes time to put batting and backing, so that's why I wanted to do the quilt as you go, because it's going to be a pain in the butt. That's just the way it is. What did I do? Okay, I moved it. Okay, we'll put that over there. Yeah, my car is dead. I haven't driven it in a while, so it died. And then I'm learning things, okay, because I have never had a key fob before. And it wouldn't work. And I didn't know about my car, okay? The point is, if your battery is dead on your car, then your key fob's not going to work. My key fob had a charge on it, but I couldn't get it to work, and I couldn't understand. But I was afraid to go out and try to stick the key in the door because I thought the alarm would go off. Well, guess what? If the battery is dead, the alarm's not going to work either. So I went out there this morning and somebody must be here. Anyway, I got the door open. In other words, I was afraid the other day to even stick the key in because the alarm goes off, and then I didn't know how I was going to get the alarm off. But it won't come on with the battery dead. Oh, it sounds like the boy. Unless it's Jesse. Is it that late? It is. Oh my. I didn't know it was that late. Well, anyway, I probably should go. I just wanted to talk to you people. Things are good. And I'm really not that bad. As long as I can breathe and I coughed a lot last night. I don't know how well I slept, but I did sleep. So I can't see color on color. I was laying the quilt stuff out the other day and got a really beautiful teal green. It's all marbly and stuff. But I could not. I had the squares all laid out and my blanket is teal green. Same color. I could not tell, but I even had that down. So. Ooh, that sounds like one of my shows I like. Yes, there are shows I like that I will watch over and over. Because there's other shows I don't know that I want to watch. Do, 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 do. So, it seems like the easiest thing to just sew those squares together, but when you think about putting it with the other stuff, it doesn't seem like it's that easy. God, there. There. My lips are all chapped. I need to figure out a way to do that. The scrappy quilt. That would have been a way to go, too. Okay. La la. I need to make me a wish list. And I haven't done that. So on my wish list would be Alexa. Alexa, play. Alexa, play me a song. She does more than that. Come on. Okay. I guess I should turn this on. This is my iron. It's a lot bigger than the other one. I need to get it filled up with water again. Anyway, in my future, the future quilts will be bigger. Not bigger, the squares will be bigger. I definitely make things difficult. Difficult. I left that other iron on more than I should have, and I don't know if that's why, but it quit working. It just quit working. It gave up the ghost. Okay, I gotta iron that. It's driving me wild here. Do 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 do. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do one of those scrappy quilts. What did she call them? Not scrappy. Rag quilt. Okay, we'll talk about something easy. And one person even did it, like I said, with 2 pieces of material. I don't know if the front was cotton and the back was flannel. There is a problem there. Why is there a problem there? It was a wrinkle where it was creased over itself. My head hurts. It doesn't hurt that bad. Just enough for me to know that it hurts. But that's also why I have a bandana on. Well, I probably should say goodbye. And yep, when I eat, I get hungry. Isn't that weird? I find that I get hungry. Do do dum dum bum bum bum. I just need to throw these in a scrap bin. Quit worrying about them. Okay, so what would I do? What would I do? What would I this same girl, I think her name is Chelsea. I Sew Seams might be the name of her channel. I'm not positive. And I'm not sure if it was her, but I think it was. Anyway, you can take these two pieces of material, front and back, and then fold it in half like it comes, but put it together, okay? You put the two pieces of material together, then you fold it in half. There's usually probably a seam still there. And then what she did was she sewed a seam. In other words, she put the two pieces of material together. Then she folded it in half along the selvage. She folded it in half. And in that half mark, she sewed a seam. I'm thinking she said 1 inch. And I've got different people's tutorials in my head. Some people sew 2 lines instead of 1. 2 seams, about a 1/4 inch apart, so that when you're doing all that snipping to make the rags fluff out and stuff, in other words, you're going to snip all that seam, not all the way down to the bottom, but you're going to snip it all the way around, so that, and then you're going to put it in the wash and the dryer, and it's going to fluff up. It's going to rag out. But anyway, okay, so basic, real simple basic, okay? Get 2 pieces of flannel even. That would be nice because it's thicker and warmer. Or you can just do cotton and a flannel. You know, cotton for the front and a flannel for the back. But when you sew those seams, now, okay, you can use that same deal, okay, and even add batting, but not the part where I said fold it in half and make a seam. So fold it in half, do 1 inch seam. And then you take that, where you pull that out, you're going to take and make another fold, you know, from the middle to the end, and from the beginning to the middle, you're going to make a seam, so that you'll end up with 3 seams all the way along the fabric. You'll have 3 seams. And then I think she turns it the other way and does the same thing and makes seams the other way, so that she ends up with squares, but she's never cut a single square. She's taken a lot of the trouble out of it. Just really easy. Make your seams with the material already intact. And then, okay, she made the seam, and then she cut the seam, okay? Cut that seam open so that you're going to have 1 inch worth of material that's going to fray. It's 1 inch down to the seam, so you don't want it to go all the way down. When you go snipping, you don't want to snip down to where the seam is. Just close. I'd stay a little ways away. Anyway, I'm going to have to try that, but it looked like incredibly simple. You just have to have the materials that you need. I have to figure out just the right size. 50 by 60 sounds like it's about right. That quilt that I said was, the quilt I saw this morning, guy was teaching about binding. His quilt was 96 inches by 96. And what I've got is a quilt that's 60 inches wide by 96 inches long. So he made a big one, probably for a bed, I mean a bigger one. Because mine's big, plenty big. I don't know what size 96 by 96 is. But any old hill, I probably ought to go. I've been on here 1.5 hours already. I am that I am. I am the great I am. You know we're talking about Jesus Christ, right? Jesus Christ is the great I am. Now, I've got strips and strips and strips. You see the sunflowers? I got those for Carly. And the green is for Carly. So those two things are going to go on Carly's quilt. I cut strips for Carly and Shea Bear. Shea Bears I've already got cut into squares. This is a Shea Bear square. And I also have black. I don't know if I've got black in her thing. Yeah, well, the black's down here. So yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Okay, and so in those scraps that I got from that lady, though, there is some upholstery material. No, not a lot, but I can cut that into the beanbag material. But I just remember, as a kid, trying to throw. Can't really throw. It's easy to throw a beanbag. It's easy to reach out and try to catch a beanbag because it's not that. I don't know my right word. Intimidating. It's not that intimidating for a beanbag to be lopped. You lop it, you don't have to, throw it. But anyway, you people, I will probably do a little bit of scripture reading before Christmas happens because, it's only apropos. Read about the nativity. I believe the nativity is real, but the time of the year is off. But the babe was born, and he grew up as a human being. He grew up, but he wasn't just a human. He was half human, half immortal. God came down among us, although we didn't live back then. I think that might be what Emmanuel means, God among us. Not quite sure. But anyway, people, have a good one. Talk to you later.